There's a psalm that my grandmother taught me. Psalm 1. She taught me 3 psalms, actually. It was Psalm chapter 1, Psalm 23, and Psalm 121. And it's amazing how she planted seeds at such a young age in my life. Because each one of those psalms ministers to me in some way, and I can apply them in my life in so many ways. So the psalm that I want to talk to you all about today that has so much in it is Psalm chapter 1. And it says, "Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel." The counsel is the advice, the guidance, the mentorship of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners. That means you and them have something in common. You're standing, you're hanging around with, you're in agreement with, you're doing what they're doing, you're standing in their way because you're following their way. Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. There's a lot of people that sit with people that scorn their God. They scorn other people. They scorn and they go against rules and regulations. Okay, we understand that some things, if it's not conducive, certain things that goes against our walk in Christ, of course, we're not going to, we're going to follow after God. Okay, that's why, Jesus says, render unto Caesar what's Caesar, unto God what's God. And certain things, there's certain rules, things from your government, laws from your government, and even your family, family relationships and things that we are to follow. But then we have to render unto God what's God's. So that means there is, to a certain extent, that I'm going to follow everything that my family says, my loved one says, my culture calls for, and maybe even those in higher power. Because if what they call for is going to go against what belongs to God, honor, reverence, respecting his principles, respecting his doing things his way, that goes against him, then, hey, I got to render to God what's God. And so if that means I've got to turn my back on some of these other things that maybe those in higher power and even my family and loved ones and people I hold dear and friends want me to do or follow, then I'm willing to do that. And that's why Jesus says, he who loves mother, father, brother, sister more than me is not worthy of me. That's what he's talking about. We have to render to Caesar what's Caesar's, and then to God what is God's. So we need to have that specific line, that line that we know, hey, we're not going to cross this. We're not going to go against, authority. But at the same time, I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to turn from God and go against God to follow after this group. So you find that there's people who are in the council of friends. They're standing in the way. They're sitting in the seat of the scornful, right? So they are comfortable with and following with those who scorn the Lord, scorns, everything about him. And they're that way with people in society. And so it's very important, guys, that we are having discernment and wisdom, even in our everyday life. There's a lot of times we don't think about it. We may go to the beauty shop, the barber shop, let's say when everything was kind of normal and things wasn't so weird. You go and sit in that barber shop where there's a bunch of, inappropriate pictures on the wall, a bunch of inappropriate music being played. I remember going to this place, a great barber shop, wonderful place that I'm taking my son to get his haircut. But I found that they were just getting their conversation, even when children was around, was just completely inappropriate. I'm talking about F-bombs, everything. And I started to really, I would literally go there and have my son put on like some earbuds or something and be looking at something different, so to block it out. And this was like maybe a while back, but I started to, in my spirit, was grieved because I just felt so grieved within myself. I'm like, I'm in here. These guys are just talking crazy. There's a beautiful barbershop. It's well known, high end barbers there. And for me, it's very, I really want to find barbers that's not just good at cutting hair, but also they are doing the cleansing. They are cleaning those clippers in between clients. So it's hard to find that barber that has all those things. Okay. And don't think that they know more about, your child's head than you do. So when you find that, sometimes you want to stick to that. But what do you do when you go to these places where they are cursing and, profanity, and they got video with girls twerking? And I became grieved in my spirit. And I remember, just saying to God, Lord, I know that my son needs his haircut and all, but I need your help. And so I was able, by praying to God, was led and found another barber that the environment was completely different. Respect, family friendly, all of that, and still great cut. And a lot of times we don't think about those things. We just think, all right, I'm just going to get my hair cut. But we're not sensitive to what's going on around us, the environment that you're in, and who is ministering in your head. Because that's what it really is. And so some people may look at it and say, oh, you're being too much. But the Lord opened my eyes to those things. You see, when you spend more and more time with God, God is going to show you things even in your everyday life, your everyday dealings. He's going to let you realize certain things, because just as there's this barber that cuss and carry on and cut hair really well, there are barbers that they're not cursing. There are barbers that are Christians. And then there are barbers that they're not Christians, but guess what? They have a professional environment. And so the Lord will lead you to those things. But a lot of times we don't think about that. We just think this barber is top notch, does my hair well. I can sit in there and listen to some cussing and some talking and look at some twerking. But guys, all that is seeds. All that are seeds that's being downloaded in you. And if you're a person that you have issues in your flesh, you've had it in your flesh, and then you're sitting there and you're looking at, they're showing the videos on all the big screens all over the barbershop with booty twerking and all this and half-dressed girls. And then they're having these type of conversations, and then they're in your head cutting your hair, and you just listen to that. Guys, you have to it's time for us to be wise and to be smart, because sometimes we're not realizing that, the environment that you're in, and the moments that what your eye gate and your ear gate is listening to. Remember, the light, our eyes is the light. And so if you're looking at certain things and it's downloading, then you're wondering why all of a sudden, maybe not now, because that's the thing about the enemy. You may not be in the barbershop right now hearing this stuff going on and then go right home and do something. But the enemy will plant a seed today for your fall next year. That's how he operates. He's very, very intelligent. And I'm not trying to give him any praise, but you need not underestimate your enemy, or you'll always be defeated. In the Bible, the word Satan is in a capital S, but you have people write it in lowercase as, I ain't worried about him. I ain't worried about him. No, you need to not underestimate. Put a capital S on that. Because the Bible has his name in a capital S. Because if you see that this enemy, never underestimate the devil. Always realize what he's capable of, right? And then with that being in mind, it's not that you're going to be scared of him, because you are with the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, who even created him. He is under your feet. But then you won't be in a mindset that you want to go, trot over there and play with him. When you realize how wicked and evil and sinister Satan is, then you're not going to be so lackadaisical with his vices. You're not going to be so lackadaisical about sin and not think, I could just go do this and, I'm going to be good. So guys, let's go back. So we talked about the barbershop. Let's talk about the beauticians. Let's talk about when those of us that we go to the beauty shop and things of that nature. Guys, use discretion. Lord, where do I go? Because sometimes you go in there, and I know that I've experienced this on many different levels as I've lived and traveled in in different parts of the country and in the world through my military career. And so you find that you have those beauticians that, when I find some beauticians, once they have reached this place of success, some, not all, and they are well known, they can be very rude. They're puffed up. So you have to be checking out, be discerning of the character of this person that you're about to allow to be combing your hair. Are they respectful? What's going on in there? What are they talking about? You can pick up on the spirit of these places if you listen. You know, they come to you, and some of them, they take forever to respond when you need an appointment. Some of them, they're very unprofessional. Some of them, you've been in and they putting somebody. It's all, guys, it's all professional. But what are we thinking about? We want our hair done so bad. You want that cut so bad that you're willing to put up with it. So in some ways, guys, you experience that narcissist spirit, that one-sided beautician. They can cancel out on you whenever they feel like it, but the minute you cancel out, it's a problem. I remember one time, because I was going to this beautician where you book online and everything, and so you have to have a card online, because you pay. That's like the initial thing. You have a card, and you have to be going so many times before you get access to book and all of that. And then if you have to also cancel within a certain period of time, or she'll block your ability to be able to book online again. You'd have to call in. But what I have found on more than one occasion, so at least two, was at the morning of my appointments, she'll be asking me, like texting me, sending me a text and asking me if I could come in maybe an hour later or something like that. And she did it on several occasions. Now, for me, it wasn't too much of a big deal because I'm retired. So I'm good, right? And the service is legitimate, but she's done that on at least two occasions where I'm like, all right, cool. It works out. I can do this or that. Maybe, hit the gym or just handle some other things first, right? Or do this thing first than what I plan to do after going to the beauty shop. But she did at least two times. But then one time I had a situation that happened where I was very sick. I woke up, I was not feeling well. I could not make it. Or I was sick the night before or something like that. Late into the night, woke up and I was just so sick I couldn't make it. And I let her know. I texted her that morning and said, hey, I can't make it. This has happened to me, whatever. No problem. But then the next time I was getting ready to rebook my appointment, I realized she had blocked me. Okay. Now keep in mind, she's always just at the last minute. She's at least done that twice. But then when I was sick and I contacted her the morning of, that was an issue. Now I talked with her and we addressed that. And so we got past that. But guys, one of the things that the Lord showed me over time is that we gotta, even in these cases, that sometimes you have beauticians, they're very selfish. They're about themselves. That narcissistic controlling spirit can be kicking in even there, where everything is about them, but they're not sensitive to you. You get there on time, but yet they're bringing other people in the chair ahead of you. Now, I haven't had nothing like that happen to me, okay? Like for a long time. Okay, I think the last time I ever seen that, actually, no, that's never happened to me. So I can't relate to that. But guys, there's a lot of things, even in these simple settings that you're not aware of, that you can simply pray and say, Lord, in everything, Father, lead me to a beautician, a daughter of God, someone, Lord, that does hair. Just a place where even if they're just professional, because everybody's not a Christian, but Father, they're professional and I can get this stuff done, but and there's none of these where we're just not subject to all these elements, because a lot of times what they know, especially when they're high end, they have reached a place that they become prideful. And then what also happens is they know you need your hair done. They know you need that haircut. And so because you have a need, you allow yourself to be subject to whatever is there. But God is calling us, even as his children, that there are places that, listen, you don't have to be tolerating and putting up with that type of stuff. You don't have to be exposing your children, your daughter, yourself to conversation. You're sitting there and all types of conversation is going on. And guys, even to be absolutely honest with you, a lot of people that run these businesses, there's certain things that they should and should not be doing. You know, they learn about how customer service and conduct is important in any business. So they are slacking on certain things, but then they're still getting your money, and then you're going in there and getting yourself contaminated. So I just want you to consider all these things, guys. What am I saying? If we acknowledge the Lord in everything, even in those simple things, where you are investing your money. So these people are cussing and carrying on, booty all over the TV and everything. And then you are taking the money that God has blessed you with and you giving it to him. You giving it to her. You giving it to that beautician that does whatever they want to do with your hair. You give it to that beautician that's very rude and inconsiderate. That beautician that has no manners. Okay, the beautician that constantly does what they want to do with your hair, no matter what you say. But, oh, this is the only person that knows how to trim my ends. No, God wants to call you out of that. Where are you sending your daughters? Where are you sending your sons? So all I'm telling you guys is just be aware of where you're going. A lot of times we think only about God, or think this only applies, certain things only apply in major warfare situations. But the Lord is paying attention to where even we're setting our feet. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. Okay, this conversation, you're not sitting there listening to a bunch of intel and people all around you talking about all types of different things. You're in that environment. You're standing in the way of sinners. You're going where they are. Okay, you're sitting in the seat of the scornful. You're sitting in the chair of this person that's giving you a service that's absolutely rude. Now, guys, I gave you the barber and the beautician, but perhaps you can think of many other scenarios in your life where you're going there and you're just exposed to certain things. It could be your job. Well, unless God tells you to just quit and walk off your job, all right, which I believe I can't say what he'll do, so let me not open my mouth. But guys, what you will do is you need to pray, and you need to ask the Lord for an opportunity to give you a job or in an environment where you are not subject to all this craziness. It's not that we're running from the world, guys. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. So that's one thing Jesus said. We are in the world, but we're not of the world. But there's certain things, guys, certain environments and certain things that you can't control. You may have to go to work right now, but you can pray, Lord, I pray for another job, Lord, where XYZ, right? And maybe this is God telling you need to open your own business. You need to start your own business, right? So I'm going to just close out on this, guys. Be a good steward of everything around you. Be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. Be sensitive to where you are. It's not just, I'm just going in here real quick to do this. No. It's not just that. And it's not that you stay hidden and you're staying away from people. But certain places, my brothers and sisters, certain scenarios, God has an expectation that we will have discernment of where we're at, and then have enough in us to say, Lord, this is where I'm at right now. This is the only place that I know. But Lord, I desire change. If you will lead me to the right environment, in the right place, where I'm not going to be subject to this, then Father, I'd appreciate it. I truly thank you for it in advance. And watch if he won't do it. Discern at all times. Never leave your discernment at home, guys. Okay? Peace out.